The moment we move from our center, we start fidgeting. Our mind starts looping, rehashing, grasping, fearing. We get very busy with not much to do. When the kundalini energy rises, things begin to change inside and outside of us. Because as we move from the center of stillness, form is made manifest. We form our world with our thoughts, and we have been formed by the substratum of God. When we evolve our consciousness, we must go through certain things and accomplish certain things internally. Freedom from fear, the thing that keeps us running. Freedom from the need to have others add something to us. To be complete in ourselves means that the Kundalini Shakti, the Divine Mother Energy, has reunited with her beloved Shiva, the crown of the head, where we find peace and stillness and the ability to manifest. So as the Kundalini energy begins to rise, it goes through different phases. We encounter certain obstacles. We fight those things. We think we are failing. We think we're being punished by our bad past deeds. When the truth is, it's about our perspective. It's about how we view it. It's about our brain waves. It's about our habits, which cause all those things to be one way or another. We can change in this moment immediately if we were to see through different eyes. If we didn't have a past, we would be more ourselves than the past has made us, simply because we don't see clearly. We see through the lens of what has happened. we don't see what truly is. As humans, we are conditioned by our past, by the collective's past, and by the contribution of everybody else's deeds and thoughts into that pool that we draw from. Creatively, mentally, emotionally, we're all one, we're all connected. How do we make it through and up in this rising, knowing that? How deep that goes? The pull of the ancestors, either up or down. How do we make sense and find our way in the invisible, yet ever true realm of spirit? Our perception is under our control by what we do and how much awareness we bring into what we do. Staying on that line, staying in that moment is so simple it's nearly impossible. Yet that is what it's going to take. It's going to take understanding that nothing outside of us is the enemy, that what we think creates the enemy, and that when we merge with whatever the obstacle is, emotionally, mentally, when we merge, instead of fear, our own annihilation, or it consuming us, we cannot be defeated. When I fear my fear, as an example, I run from it creating more. I cause this dual experience. But when I merge and keep merging with any obstacle, with any feeling, with anything that I find repulsive, it cannot defeat me. This is the clue to how to keep the energy rising rather than getting caught in these loops and patterns we do to escape ourselves, thinking that's giving us freedom. We keep merging with the moment. Whatever that moment is, that feeling is, that person is, we drop the identification while we honor the being, the individual. We drop the identification with how we think this me is so real, when the truth is we act as we act because this me isn't real, and deep inside we know it. And we know at any moment either our mask will be ripped off or our body will be torn away from us. Who is this us that feels our body could be torn away? What is behind it all? What is behind it all is the kundalini energy, the divine spiral, the divine mother, who is always holding us. Even when we think we are being punished and tortured by her, really she is extracting us from the things that cause us pain. And we hold on so tight when that band-aid gets pulled off. We hold on so tight to those things that hurt us and those people and those patterns in our mind that we think something bad is happening to us. In any direction we look, it could come from other people. Everybody is her. Everybody is helping us to get closer to God, because we are being extracted from the ignorance of our own delusion of clinging, even though we pretend we're not. Because there's not much else to do here when you look around. And so then you go, okay, I can't trust anywhere I look because it's all going to trigger me and there's no point in any of this. I'm going to die anyway. And then we isolate. We isolate. And that has its own set of problems. Because when we have no control over what we're doing, but we're doing it as a reaction or as a idea of being punished or of, oh, well, I'm not good enough, so this is how I end up. This is just a game we play with ourselves, and it's not getting us anywhere except to this moment where we change our perception, we change the way we see things, and we change our lives. That everything is okay like it really could be right now. Could it really be okay like right now with all these problems I have? It could be, because who is the I that has the problem? And where am I looking? Why am I looking there? And so when I say it's so easy to just change how you see it, this is the catch. This is the only reason for spiritual practices, is to slow us down because we were born running on something that has been moving far longer than we have. So these practices simply slow us down. The movement is caused by fear. Everything is moving because of fear in this samsaric existence. And why? Because annihilation, being pulled back to the center, this false identification, disappearing, being swallowed by the divine. And we, this little part of us that is here to survive, thinks it will disappear, needs to be somebody, needs to go out with a bang, needs to have a purpose, needs to find meaning, needs more. And we give our power away to the outside, trying to get it there because that's what we're taught to do. And it's very painful. And when the kundalini energy rises, it can get more painful because things get a lot worse before they get better, because we'll finally say, I can't ignore this, I get it. There's no way around it, there's no loophole. And coming back is the hardest thing to do because of our habits. These deeply embedded habits in our mind that keep us doing the same thing, and we know we're doing it, but we just can't stop. Little by little, the change we can make is to change our brainwaves and our perception by our practices, our daily behavior, what we engage. With the awareness of this, our life can change, because now we may not have the exact behavior we want, but we know what we need to do to start moving in that direction. And it's no gigantic, heroic, extreme step, because that will backfire. It is little by little by little consistency. Relax. Let go. Surrender to your heart. Put yourself in a place or a position where you can be quiet long enough to feel your heart. Because in this world today, in the way people live with social media and iPhones always in our face, our mind is our ruler. And that's very dangerous, and it causes us a lot of pain. And so what do? We move faster, we look more, we search. Bottomless pit. And we're not going anywhere. But it's so hard to face that we're not going anywhere, that we could be that ignorant that we keep doing it, or we get around other people who validate what we're doing, saying, hey, she said that, but look, we're all doing it, so we must be right, or we must be okay, or it must be like, I might find a way to like balance it out and like still do it but pretend I'm not. Say a few mantras, go to a few yoga classes, but still engage the world in a way where I'm mostly identified with my false patterns. And so as the energy rises, it becomes more refined and more subtle, so that it is actually harder to see ourselves. The more of that divine, Shakti, female goddess energy that we embody, the harder it is to see the truth of what we're doing. That is why it can get so dangerous. That is why we need to constantly come back with humility and surrender in devotion. Devotion allows us to bow our heads to something, to let go. We're not doing a favor to that which we're devoted to. It's doing a favor to us. It's allowing us to learn humility, because in humility is where mastery arises. Humility is that we have nothing to prove. We can get over ourselves. We have nothing to defend. And easier said than done, but true humility is a precious jewel. But to get there might hurt our ego. Our ego that has so many things about itself that it feels are so important. And yes, we are all unique and valuable. But we're not separate. None of this actually matters. Because we truly are connected to something more, which is that we are the creator and we are that which created us. And that we are one with one another. And so what we do changes everything. We don't need to go and get somebody else or something else to change for us. It's how we do what we do. And why is that how we do what we do? Is because of the things that we practice that allow us to change our consciousness and our brain waves. Because when we change our brain waves and get out of the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight, and get into the parasympathetic nervous system, we instantly react differently. We become less reactive because we aren't like that rabbit being hunted by the hawk. We aren't jittery. We aren't fidgety. We're in our center. And when we are in our center, we have the space to understand what it is we're dealing with, and we have the fearlessness to merge with it. Kali appears as she does because Kali is the embodiment of fear. She bestows the blessing of fearlessness because she herself, as the embodiment of fear, has merged with it enough to take it from us. But we must become her before we can be fearless. How do you become something? How do you merge with it? Devotion. Through devotion, we merge with the essence. That's where magic takes place. In other words, you can't plan it out in your mind. That's all magic is. You can't plan it out in your mind. It takes place in secret. And then suddenly, the seed has sprouted into that moon blossom in that magical world of the grace of the Divine Mother, where things we could never imagine come to be when we just let go and let her carry us forward. Because when she begins to rise, things can get wild. It affects our body, it affects our mind. It opens up the past, the wounds, the talents, and it's a lot sometimes. Things start moving very quickly, which cause us to react and start reaching frantically. And we may go through stages where we are sometimes still and sometimes really fast. But to accept and not to reject who we are and what we're going through at any moment, but to embrace, accept, stop resisting, stop identifying, stop clinging, and breathe. The truth isn't heard, the truth is felt. The truth is felt in your heart.